All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to be talking about this really powerful idea from MJ DeMarco called living unscripted. Basically, it's this idea that maybe, just maybe, most of us are following a plan for our lives that we didn't even write. And we're going to talk about what it actually takes to break free from that. So let me just start by asking you something. Do you ever get that feeling? Like you're just going through the motions? You know, that little nagging voice in the back of your head that says, is this it? Is this all there is? That feeling that your life is kind of stuck on repeat? Yeah, the author has this perfect name for it. He calls it the Monday story. And you know exactly what this is, right? It's that horrible sound of the alarm clock at 6:30 in the morning, the soul-crushing commute, sitting in a cubicle all day long, a life where you're literally spending your best, most energetic hours making somebody else rich. And what do you get for it? The weekend. That's the prize. So you gotta wonder, where does this feeling even come from? Well, according to the author, it's not an accident. It's actually the result of a system he calls the script. And that right there, that's the big problem we're gonna dig into. Okay, so what is the script? Well, DeMarco calls it a pre-packaged life template. Think of it like a blueprint for life that's been handed down for generations. It promises you safety, it promises you predictability, but what it really delivers, he argues, is a life of mediocrity and forgotten dreams. It's just the default path everyone's expected to take. And this script, man, it lays out a pretty familiar timeline, doesn't it? It goes something like this. At 18, you go to college and rack up a ton of debt. At 22, you get your first job, mostly to start paying off that debt. Then by 30, you take on even more debt with a mortgage and car payments, and the whole game is to work for, 40, 50 years, just trading your precious time for money, all for the hope that you can finally be free when you're 65. So what's the end result of all this? What kind of person does this script create? Well, the author has an acronym for it, the MODEL citizen. Let's break that down. M is for mediocre, because let's be honest, the whole path is designed for average. O is for obedience, because you're taught to just follow the rules and not ask too many questions. D is for dependent, completely reliant on that one paycheck and a system you have zero control over. E is for entertained, using endless distractions to forget that you might not have a real purpose. And finally, L is for lifeless, just going through the motions but not really living. Okay, so if this script is everywhere, you have to ask, who's writing it? I mean, who actually benefits from all of this? Well, the author points his finger at several big, powerful forces in our society. He calls them the architects or the seeders of the script. And what's really fascinating here is how all these different forces, he calls them seeders, are all connected. They kind of work together, maybe not even on purpose, to keep this whole script going. Just think about it for a second. The education system, it trains you to be a good little employee for the big corporations. The media, it sells you a dream lifestyle that makes you buy more stuff, which, surprise, fuels those same corporations. And even your own family and friends, with the best of intentions, they pass down the same old advice they got. Hey, be realistic, get a safe job. It all reinforces the exact same message. Man, this quote from Henry Ford, it's so revealing. It really pulls back the curtain on how this whole thing works. Ford realized that by creating the 5-day work week, he wasn't just making his workers more productive. No, he was creating a new class of consumers. People who would use that new leisure time to go out and buy more cars, more clothes, more stuff. They ended up fueling the very system they were working for. It's kind of brilliant and a little terrifying. All right, so that's the problem, and it sounds pretty bleak, right? But this isn't just about tearing everything down. No, it's about building an alternative. The author proposes a totally different path, a completely different way of thinking that he calls the unscripted life. And this, right here, this really shows you the massive difference in mindset. A scripted life is all about being a consumer, constantly chasing money and trading away your time. The unscripted life, on the other hand, is about becoming a producer. It's about attracting value instead of chasing it, and most importantly, owning your time. It's a huge shift from looking for comfort inside the system to seeking the freedom to build your own. And honestly, this is the single most important piece of the puzzle. The fundamental shift you have to make is from being a lifelong consumer to becoming a producer. It's about changing your focus from just buying and using things to creating things, building things, and providing real value to other people. That right there becomes the engine that drives your entire life. So the big question is, how does a person even make a change this big? It's not like you just wake up one day and decide to do it. The author argues that it almost never happens slowly. Instead, it usually starts with one single, incredibly powerful moment, a breaking point. He calls your point of no return. And yeah, he has a very direct way of putting it. He calls this the fuck this event. And he uses that raw, intense language for a reason. Because this isn't some polite intellectual decision. It's an emotional, gut-level, definitive break from the life you've been living up to that point. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's that exact moment when the pain of your current life, the status quo, finally becomes worse than the fear of trying to escape it. It's when you finally just say, no more, I'm done. I cannot live like this for one more day. It's like a flash of lightning that just wakes you up. So, after you have that breaking point, what's next? The path forward from there is really all about one thing: reclaiming what the script has stolen from you. But the real prize, it might not be what you think it is. You see, the ultimate goal here, the end game of living an unscripted life, it's not just about getting rich or piling up a bunch of money. I mean, that can be a tool, a byproduct of the process, sure. But the real prize is something so much more valuable. It's about reclaiming your time. Think about it. You can always lose money and make it back. But time, once it's gone forever. The script basically has you mortgage your best years, your youth, your energy, your health, for this vague promise of freedom when you're old. The unscripted path is about owning your time, right here, right now. So I want to leave you with what is probably the author's most powerful question. Just imagine for a second, what if a clock suddenly appeared on your phone, and it was a countdown timer showing you exactly how much time you have left on this earth? Would you spend it differently? Would you still be sitting in that traffic jam? Would you still be working that job you can't stand? Would you still be following somebody else's script for your life? It's a really sobering thought, isn't it? But man, it really forces you to ask what you're actually living for.